Hello, everybody, and welcome to Input Left's Pokemon Diamond Randomizer Nuzlocke. This is episode 43, if memory serves correctly. We just woke up from a nice nap, and we are trudging through the snowy plains
This
up
is
towards
Pokemon.
Snow Point City.
Pokemon Diamond is unbreakable.
That's right. Mayor Bernie is unbreakable.
Mm.
I mean, close combat is basically a stand rush if you look at the animation. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Magician's Reto.
thank you for joining us for another exciting episode of Input Left. We are trekking through what I loved kind of thematically as one of my favorite parts of the game. Just to have it's like a snowstorm, the geography of it, the feeling like you're nearing the end game, so you're going through this trial of extreme weather. I don't know, it's holding up so far, a lot better than like the flowers in Floroma Town.
And a very unique setting at this point for a Pokemon game, which had previously been fairly industrial or tropical. We hadn't really seen these kind of like harsher, colder climates before, so I'll definitely give it credit for that.
Yeah.
I think they may have overdone it a little bit in a few places, but it is a good idea.
I think it's the geography of Japan, because the rest of the games are all based on Japan, and this one is too so far. And this is the part of Japan where it does snow. So
yeah,
so
for
the
sure.
mountainy northern part. When you think about it, Japan is basically right next to Russia at the top. So it's pretty. Is that true? I feel like that's.
I mean,
true.
it's on a similar latitude, I think. Yeah, like it definitely you do experience, at least in most of Japan, I believe, like all four seasons as we do here, more or less, right? So there are cold parts of Japan. There are
five seasons.
mountainous parts of Japan.
They have a cherry blossom season.
I mean, that's spring, isn't it? But yes,
It's a sub season.
sure.
Yeah. It's like if you're playing an RPG and you choose a class and it unlocks like a subclass for you. Yeah. It's like spring, but there's a sub season you unlock.
Just
Cherry
like that.
Blossom season. Just like that.
New subclass unlocked.
And
New
remind me,
season.
is our limit 42?
Yeah, like we can hit 42.
Oh, okay, good. Okay. Yeah.
I always get lost in this place. And this is actually where rock climb the HM is, if I remember right. I saw that bump in the snow.
I started watching some YouTube videos, and I think it's like idiot explains insert like movie, right? And so he does like a kind of meme like explanation of movies like I saw Ice Age, and I saw Zootopia. I don't remember if I saw any other ones, but it took me back to have you watched either of those movies recently?
Zootopia,
those are
yeah.
classics.
So,
Like when I was a
not
kid,
recently, but what was the other one?
yeah, Zootopia and Ice Age.
I mean, Zootopia came out when I was like
Zootopia is pretty
almost an
recent.
adult. But yeah, Ice Age 100%. I watched a ton when I was a kid. I love that movie. Also like the sequel a decent amount. Ice Age 2, that is.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's a lot of sequels. They're up to like 5.
Yeah, I stopped watching after I think I saw the fourth one once, and I was like, "This kind of sucks," and I never watched another one.
You didn't see the pirate one?
That is the fourth one, isn't it? Continental Drift.
I don't know.
Or am I mistaken?
I don't remember.
It really doesn't matter. They're all pretty shit at that point.
Well, I think it's Zootopia. If I was a kid when it came out, I'd probably have seen that movie like 20 times by now. But since we were a little older, I've probably only seen it once or twice. But Ice Age, I felt like that was like a Toy Story. Like, obviously nothing compares to Toy Story in terms of its like level of influence, because it was like the first really good like animated movie, like feature length, right? But
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah.
Ice Age was like, I felt like it was probably like a big deal when it came out, right? Like it was I don't know. I always
Ice
thought of it
Age-
as like a classic,
Yeah,
like Ice Age 1.
I agree. I think Ice Age 1 has a lot of really strong components to it, like a legitimately very good emotional core and some really good character arcs for like all the main characters.
Mhm.
And I feel like they leaned a bit heavier into like the more like comedy angle and stuff, and more fantastical elements almost as they went along. It's kind of disappointing, like a huge part of the first Ice Age, obviously, are humans.
Yeah.
Like they're taking care of a human child and trying to get it returned to its other humans. But humans are like never seen or heard from again, as far as I'm aware of.
They went
in subsequent
extinct.
Films. And
They're on the other side of the Bering Strait.
It's kind of an odd choice, in my opinion, that like humans never again played a big role, and I honestly think it's a weakness of the subsequent films. I feel like they could have really done a lot more with that than they ended up doing.
Yeah, and even beyond the kid, like because the humanity is so central to the entire story of the first one, like they feel like it's present the whole time. This thought of like the humans, right? And I agree. And
well, it's not just like if I'm remembering right, it's not just like, oh yeah, we're just taking care of this kid. Like part of Manny's backstory in the first film is that his whole family was killed by humans that were hunting them, right?
Right.
And he's like the last mammoth he knows of. And this is still kind of a thing in the second film where like, yeah, he's one of the only mammoths left, but he meets another one, you know, there's that whole dynamic. But like the human element of it where it's like people caused that is just like gone. Like nobody talks about the fact that that's what happened to Manny's family.
Right.
Like
It's
members.
just like, oh, you think you're a possum. Cool. Yeah, also
exactly, yeah.
And tonally, the first one is it's just a lot more serious, right? It seems like, I don't know, to some extent I feel like it seems like something like this could happen. Like I know it's like obviously it's a comedy and we missed Scissor. Oh,
We did, yeah.
But obviously it's you know, it's still a comedy. It's got talking animals, whatever. Well, when the humans don't understand them talking, so they're speaking in their animal languages, I guess.
Yes.
But like this idea of a story of like a mammoth finds a kid and brings him back to the humans, like that kind of shit happens in real life. Like, you know, gorilla takes care of a baby or whatever, you know, or whatever. Like that actually happens. That stuff.
Rip Harambe, yeah.
It felt like it wasn't detached from reality. It felt like it was pretty serious in tone, and it felt like you know, like
and a powerful emotional core there, because like the whole point of it is that Manny ends up identifying with this baby, sees himself in it, even though it's of the species that orphaned him. He still sees himself in this potential orphan and doesn't want that to happen to another creature.
Right.
And then like at the end of the film, like there is that reconciliation between the mammoths and the humans. They sort of like Manny and the humans come to understand one another. Like, is it extremely deep? No, not really, but it's good,
right.
You know, and there's something there that just feels like it's absent from the follow-ups, basically.
Yeah. I mean, once they fall into a hole with, like, T-Rexes, you know, my version
it's a wrap at that point. Yeah.
Yeah. The second one's not bad, like the flooding water or whatever.
Right.
There's some seriousness.
I didn't even mind, like, like they have like some prehistoric like dinosaur-esque things that like are melted out of the ice, and I'm like, you know what, that's fine. That it's just two things, and like I'm kind of all right with it. But yeah, then they go full on. Like Ice Age 3 is very visually impressive and has some like really cool action sequences and stuff. And it's still like a fun popcorn movie to watch, but you're not getting that same emotional core. Like the emotional core of that movie is basically just like Manny coming to terms with being a father, basically, which is like fine, but like it's not like it's handled with like a lot of grace and like interesting dynamics, really. Like it would have been cool if they had done that story arc again, bringing back up, like connecting to the first Ice Age where he was a surrogate father for this kid, right? You know, and everything. But that like never happens. So it's like,
yeah.
okay. Kind of like Shrek the Third, right? Where like that's just the exact same thing they do in that film, where like it's all about Shrek learning to become a dad, and he's got like Arthur or whatever that he's like filling that role for almost at times, but it still feels like a bit hollow. Same thing.
You know, I never I agree that like Shrek 1 and Shrek 2, I mean particularly Shrek 1 is like the ultimate classic, right? Like
no,
like,
Shrek 2 better. Shrek 2
I know
Shrek.
some people like
I'm
Shrek
sorry.
2 better, but
I prefer it.
No one
it.
can
I'm
forget
saying
like
it.
Shrek 1. Like that's
No, Shrek. The first Shrek is still an incredible film, and
that's
it's like,
foundational, right?
It's where like people basically came out and were like, Pixar doesn't have like a monopoly on high quality 3D films. Like we've done that basically now with Shrek, and it's incredible. It's great. I love it. It was recently put into the Library of Congress, like within the last year. They preserved it because, like it's considered like a great work of art basically at this point, which is amazing. And it is. And Shrek 2, I think, is like just slightly better in every single way, in my opinion.
Yeah,
I'm
sure. I mean,
you're
like,
going to say that you don't hate Shrek the Third the same way everyone else does.
I just don't get the. I mean, I certainly would not like, especially now, like as an adult, be able to like get why it's not like not like a masterpiece. Obviously, it's not, and it's not great. But like, I never understood the hate of it. Like, I thought, I guess when I was a kid, it was more like, oh, this is just another funny Shrek story. Maybe like how I would treat like if it were a TV show, you know, and this was a funny episode. But I still don't, I think, get the hate of it. I think it's really corny. I think it's charming in some ways, and I don't know. I mean, a lot of scenes stick out, like the dad dying in frog form or whatever, or does he not die? He's really sick.
He does, which is like,
He does, yeah.
See, this is what I would say. Like, when was the last time that you watched it? Because
I'll admit it's not been recently. It was probably in high school.
the last time that I watched it,
late
I was
high school,
actually
maybe?
with you. I was with you. I was like, Shrek the Third is like not as good as the first two, but it's still decent. It's still pretty good.
Yeah.
But the most recent time I watched it, I was like, actually, it isn't very good. Like, there are a couple scenes, a couple things I do like. I think the best scene in the film is probably when Shrek like shouts at Arthur, you know, like when they're being apprehended by Prince Charming and like tells them to get lost, and then Charming's like, "You do have a way with children, Shrek," because like Shrek is basically like he's filling the role of the monster one more time to save Arthur, and eventually like Donkey and Puss in Boots explain that to him, like, don't you get it? That's why he said all those things. He was trying to save you from Charming, blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
That's a good scene. There's a lot of subtext there. But the rest of the movie is just like joke after joke, and not most of them don't land like they did in previous films. There's like a whole weird subplot with Puss in Boots and Donkey switching bodies for like no reason. Like it literally goes nowhere and like is only played for laughs. I don't know. Like there's so much there that it's just like kind of hard to get through, honestly, nowadays for me.
Yeah. I wonder if there's some still nostalgia. You know, Shrek 4 I thought was trash though.
I haven't seen that recently enough. I've heard some people say that it's actually like pretty good if you come to it in the right mindset. But I haven't seen it in so long. I'd have to watch it again to form another opinion on it.
Yeah, it's no Flushed Away.
Oh, I haven't seen that in so long either. Yeah.
I actually don't
remember
remember
liking
if
it a
it's
lot
good
though.
or bad. I just remember liking it as a kid as well. I don't know if it's actually good. I have seen
Clam
more
Pearl yet? I thought
no, I don't think so. Gorbis.
we don't have a hunt tail either, do we? Oh yeah, then this is our encounter. Porpoise.
Oh, okay. It's fine. A fish. Yeah, I don't know. It's no Kung Fu Panda.
Oh, I love Kung Fu Panda. It's so good.
I'm sure Shrek 2 is probably, well, I really love Shrek 2. I'm sure it could stand up objectively probably on like Kung Fu Panda level. And some people
I think they
don't
do,
appreciate Kung Fu Panda like I do, but I love Kung Fu Panda. I think Kung Fu Panda and Kung Fu Panda 2 are some of the best animated films.
I did
out
actually
there.
watch both of them pretty recently.
Yep.
And as much as I like Kung Fu Panda 2, it just doesn't hit as hard as the first film. I really love the first movie. I still I teared up watching it again. Like it's just so good. It's so funny and so heartfelt and so beautiful and well shot. Like, I don't know, dude. Kung Fu Panda is it is Shrek 2 tier for me. It's one of my favorite animated movies of all time.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've watched Kung Fu Panda. We quote it all the time. But I've probably watched it 30 times, like literally. Like, I remember seeing it in classes in high school, like at least twice. I remember like going to a store where they were showing off their new sound technology, and you know they're playing the bridge scene. What a great film. Skadoosh.
He's a panda. You're a panda. What are you gonna do, big guy? Sit on me? That's my Ian McDermott, or not McDermott. My is it Ian Shane? Is that his name? That's my impression of him as Tai Long. All right, Gorbis.
Have a catch. Yep, she's a fish.
Elegant, pretty fish, kind of like Angie from Shark Tale, which is an amazing animated film. Also up there with Shrek.
You're gonna say Shark Tank.
Kung Fu Panda. Not Shark Tank, Shark Tale. I always say
Shark
that.
Tale. Shark Tale. Yeah, definitely not the same up there.
I really liked it when I was a
enjoy
kid, but it has some legitimately very funny moments, probably in part unintentional, but it is a shitty movie. it's kind of in so bad it's good territory. I think we might have even talked about it.
Oh yeah, she is like the same kind of fish as the girl fish in that movie, right?
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Yeah.
Like, she kind of strikes me as similar, but we can't name her after Angie.
I can't really remember
do you have any ideas though?
Um,
kind of like a pretty face, I feel like, you know.
Betty McCollum.
Let me see.
This do you know Senator Tina Smith?
I don't think I do.
Okay, this could be Amy Klobuchar then.
Didn't we already do Klobuchar? Yeah, Klobuchar's Lickitung.
Oh, we did. Oh yeah. Oh, that was way better.
Because she's the bootlicker, yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking maybe we could do Megyn Kelly, possibly, or maybe even what's her name?
No, Meghan McCain.
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah, Meghan McCain. Yeah. That's what I was thinking. Maybe
that's funny. Okay.
McCain's more relevant nowadays. So
yeah.
But honestly, let's just call her Megan. We know it's McCain, but honestly, they're somewhat interchangeable.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine her on my screen saying, "You know, my father wouldn't have allowed that to happen, but you all treat conservatives like shit. You don't believe in, you know, whatever." Yeah.
But Israel's not so bad. You guys just misunderstood. Hamas is the real problem.
Israel, I don't know. I feel like she'd be more intense. Like, Israel is just defending itself from a terrorist threat, and when we defend ourselves from a terrorist threat, we understand it. So why is it when other people defend themselves from a terrorist threat, they don't understand it? I don't get it. You know, when my father would have defended him,
there was she did on The View.
Yeah,
she did have a segment where I don't even remember. They were not talking about Israel Palestine basically. Or maybe they were
she just
passing.
I think I saw this.
It comes around to her, and she just goes on this crazy rant. It's actually nutty. She just goes off on this wild tangent about how everything's being misrepresented or whatever. And eventually, Whoopi Goldberg is like, all right, well, we're gonna have we can come back to that when we cut to break. And Megan's like,
Yeah.
why are you cutting me off? Why are you cutting me off? And then Whoopi like flips and she's like, I'm cutting you off because you have to go to commercial, Megan. And then it goes to commercial. They clearly like hate each other. Like,
we need a Whoopi in this playthrough. I hope we get a.
Yeah, we haven't found, I think, a good candidate.
Yeah.
But perhaps we will, yeah. Whoopi like strikes me as like a Kangaskhan kind of, you know, like a sort of fierce motherly type almost, but that might just be me.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. Yeah. Like, we'll be right back after the break. Hops in. Yeah, so Megan McCain's trash, don't give her any attention. But otherwise, we were talking about just to close off Kung Fu Panda.
Right.
I've heard people. I remember even when I was a kid, like I heard news anchors like talking about because for some reason they tell you about movies they've seen, which you know that's not news, but
right.
And they're not qualified to tell you that Kung Fu Panda is mediocre because it's not. It's a legendary film. People don't fully appreciate still animation as like an equal like medium.
Yep.
And
it's for kids. It's for kids, especially in the West. It's viewed as being for kids.
Yeah, some things about Kung Fu Panda obviously could be better, and there's room for growth. Probably the way it addresses weight and like there's probably like a lot of beauty to it, but also there's probably ways in which they could word things better or whatever. But
yeah, when I rewatched it, I actually thought it held up fairly well. I thought it was
so too.
Pretty good way of addressing like fat phobia and whatever. Like Poe is ultimately a hero, not in spite of his shape, but because of it.
Yeah, because of
and
his
it's
body
like
type.
his uniqueness is what allows him to succeed. Where the freaking Furious Five, you know, all of these incredibly athletic and fit people failed.
Yeah,
I don't know. I think that at least in the broad strokes they get it down pretty well.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I don't. No,
and like when people make fun of Poe like for his weight, like what other people do, like
it's
Monkey for instance. Like Poe is sad about it.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of played for laughs at times, but like not entirely. You know, like I think that there's a nuanced understanding of it. So I don't know. I thought it held up decently. I'm not somebody who's ever really been all that large, so maybe I don't have as much of an understanding of what that would be like.
As long as you have a gut. I don't know. I think I'm a lot
I was
better
extremely
shape now,
fat-phobic of you. Sweaty. Now I do know what it's like. Well, thank you. So now I can authoritatively speak on this issue.
Now you're oppressed. Now you're a person of size. You're oppressed. You can say it.
Person of size. That can't be real.
Some people. Let me say. Some people push for that. I personally, as someone who I think when I was a kid, I was overweight. I mean, I'm still technically overweight, but I was not fit. I'm still overweight now, but like I run and like I'm fit and I feel really good about my. I'm
really happy.
Also, thank you, and also I think like if you're just a stocky build, like you know, that's a little different too. Like where like oh yeah, it feels like I go wider, but like I can touch my bones, so like there's something, you know, so whatever. But there's something to that. But But what I will say is like I thought, you know, Kung Fu Panda did a really good job, and also I thought that person of size was a silly term even then, but also so I feel like I could have that opinion, but also that Kung Fu Panda did a good job at like at you know speaking to you know the way you could celebrate your shape and that it could be an asset and in a way that like they didn't go and say like you can be, you know, you should be happy to be unhealthy. It was very much the opposite. Like, oh look, like his shape is great, you know, it is a good thing, and he should celebrate that. And it's where his body is where his power comes from. But also, you know, he's happy to like, you know, be becoming stronger and maybe like when he trains, you know, he wants to do that and. He gets I think a healthier relationship with food At the
Yeah,
end of
because
the
that's another
film,
dynamic
right,
that's
where he-
explored. Is that like
Yeah.
famously Master Oogway says like
where he's like, I'm not hungry.
you eat when you're upset,
Yeah.
right? And Poe comes
Mhm.
to admit it. Later in the film when he's training with Shifu, it's like, I eat when I'm upset, okay? Like he has like a sort of anxiety around that he
Mhm.
comes to terms with through food, and that's a very common thing for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Even if you aren't necessarily like a larger person, I think a lot of people do feel that like eating food is a way to cope with anxiety.
Yep.
And as he progresses through the film, initially Shifu uses that to train him, gives him food as like a motivator to train. But by the end of their training, when they're fighting over that last dumpling in one of the greatest training scenes in history, in my opinion,
Mhm.
Poe gets
Yeah.
the last dumpling,
Yep.
and then
Say
hands
it.
it back to
Say
Shifu
it.
and says he's not hungry. I'm not hungry.
Yep.
Like,
I
and
love
that's
that
an
line.
amazing scene. I think that's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, my favorite
That's just
moment, I think one of my favorite moments of the film that as a kid I like really, really resonated with, and I saw like it's the scene where before that leads to the training, right? Where Shifu discovers how to train Poe. It's where he walks into
the almond cookies, right?
right. He walks into like the covered area, and
Yeah.
he sees Poe eating the cookies like with like stuffed face, guilty look. I was like, that's
Well,
me.
first he
And then
sees
he
first
says,
he
yeah.
sees him like he's like punching through the cupboards,
Oh right.
and then
right.
he's like, "What? I eat when I'm upset, okay?" And Shifu's like,
Thought you
"Oh,
might have been looking
that's
for
no problem.
Monkey's
I just thought you
cookies."
might want to know that Monkey keeps his almond cookies like on the top shelf, right?"
Yeah.
And then he hides as Poe goes up, and I'm sure you want to explain what he does to
Yeah.
get the cookies because you love that so much.
Yeah, he well Shifu like kind of turns around or like goes out of the room and comes back, and Poe is doing what is explored as like he's doing the perfect split in midair, like propping himself up in order to eat the cookies.
He's like, that is a perfect split. He's like, what? This? No, that's not. And then once he's aware of it, he can't do it, like it's, it's great.
Yeah, really resonates.
Of course.
Oh, not again. Really
Watch out,
resonates,
everybody.
though. After also, it's really cool because there's that other scene where we always make jokes about, but where they say like perfect split like takes years to master, years more to apply.
Yeah, to apply in combat. Yeah, it's a
Right.
great scene.
Yeah, and then there he goes like doing the splits
Mhm.
because he just loves food that much. Which is great.
Yeah, and I love that the message as well is like Shifu can't train him like the others, and he shouldn't expect to have to be trained like the others. He's his own person, and he has his own skills that require their own method of training to build upon. Like, I don't know. I legitimately feel like it like handles the topic very well.
Yep. And obviously, all of that's capped off with there is no secret ingredient, It's,
Yeah, exactly. It's all about
there's-
self-acceptance and being happy and proud of who you are.
Yep. And then suddenly, like, your body can, like, take hits and deflect energy, and you can
Well-
you can push someone's thumb down and, like, send them into the spirit realm, apparently.
Well, I haven't seen the third film yet,
Right,
so don't
right.
spoil me just yet.
Oh,
But
no, this wasn't about the third film, no.
oh, okay.
No,
But
it was,
another thing
Go
I know, another thing I love is that like it even applies to Tai Lung, right? Because Tai Lung has been holding himself to this standard the whole time, right? The same standard that people tried to hold Poe to, of the Dragon Warrior, and it works against other people who operate under that same standard. It works against people like the Furious Five. His nerve attacks paralyze them like instantly, right? But they don't work against Poe because he's never expected to fight anyone like Poe, whose nerves he can't access, right? Because of his build. It's
Right.
great. It's legitimately really good and funny, but good. Yeah.
Tai Lung is like a great foil to Poe, but also like a great foil to Tigress at the same time.
Yeah.
Which is really cool. But Anyway, we're 30 minutes. I think this is a good place to end the episode.
All right.
Right in the
About to get a new
comments. In suspense. In the comments, what's a good animated movie you've watched? Do you have thoughts on any of the ones we've talked about? Yeah.
I look forward to seeing and hearing what you guys have to say.
Bye.
All right. See you guys next time.